And so we've got that started. So welcome on Saturday morning. This is February the 23rd, I think, or 22nd, somewhere in that range, February 22nd. And glad to have you with us on our Saturday morning Zoom. And today we're going to talk about residual income and talk about lifestyles and belief levels. I guess it's come things that really come into play, because I can remember my first time to go to a big event. Actually, Todd encouraged me. You probably don't remember this, Todd, but 18, 19 years ago, you encouraged me to go to Nashville, Tennessee, and I really couldn't afford to go. I stayed at my sister's and drove across town because I couldn't afford the hotel room. I was flat broke, busted, and lost everything from after NAFTA. And I made it to a meeting there and sat on the back row. Still can remember the hotel, remember how it looked inside. Probably don't remember all the other meetings as much as I remember that one, because it was my first trip to learn about this industry. And probably wouldn't be sitting here today on this Zoom had I not made that big event in Nashville, Tennessee. And that would be, I guess, 19 years ago this coming fall. So, Todd, with that, I'm going to kind of turn it to you and I know you kind of got a format of what you want to talk about, and we'll go from there. You're muted, Todd.
Yeah, Chris, this is going to be a jam-packed morning. We have so much information to pass along, but Chris, you were just sharing that you didn't have the money to go to that first event 18 years ago, and I do remember that event you went to in Nashville very clearly, like it was yesterday. The reason I remember is because some people in your organization had made the stage and you didn't, and that's when I found out how competitive you were. That's when you're like, this ain't happening again. But I think maybe it's a good thing to understand, because everybody did not get to go on this trip. And some people that went on this trip, it was an absolute stretch to get there, is that, everybody kind of starts in this industry the same way. And that's with a dream of better, a desire for better. We kind of open our eyes up and see there might be a chance maybe not to have to deal with employees or be an employee, or open the doors up at 6 a.m., close them at midnight for the rest of our life. There might be a way to go out and pour into other people. There's something about your financial future dependent upon your ability to help others create a better financial future, and your financial future dependent upon your ability to help others regain their health and their energy and their vibrancy and their desire for life. It's really unique. And I sent that post out because Ken and Aaron and you kind of entered our business really within that first 18 months of us going full-time at this. And it's just been a nice ride ever since. And I know that some people are just joining this company. Some have never been in the network marketing industry. And what you get to do now is design your next 20 years and go on 50 working vacations or more. I said 50, Chris, but I knew for sure it was 50, but I think it might be closer to 75, because I know there's been years we've been on 5, 6, 7 a year over those 18 years. So it's a ton. But what we're going to do this morning is we're going to go out and interview a bunch of people that got to experience this the first time. We're going to save that for just a minute. What I want to start with is this company is beginning to experience a little bit of momentum. And we have about 5 or 6 big events now locked in 100%. I'll start here in Florida. The details will come out on this either Monday or Tuesday. The event will be about $20, maybe $30. We're still trying to get all of our quotes in for the big bonfire. But the April 25th weekend, we will all be in Florida. There will be a ton of leaders. There will be a ton of invites going out for you to speak, leaders in Canada, other places. But we'll be on the beach here in Florida. We'll be at the Hyatt Place. We're going to be in the Sandestin area. Like I said, the details will go out. I'm just letting you know the dates. If you want to come, you can at least be able to circle the calendar. We'll kick off on that Friday night at 7 p.m. And go to 9 with some training. And then the next morning from 9 to 3. And then we have I've got some football players that I coached here that run a beach chair company. And they're going to put together a huge, huge bonfire on the beach for us. I'm just waiting to get all the cost in on that, but about $20 per person, which should be about the range for that event. And it will be a network marketing event teaching you how to do this business. You'll understand the pay plan inside, outside, and backwards. We will cover product, but there's going to be a big product event 2 weeks later. So I know we're going to go backwards and catch up with some Michigan and other events, but Ken, since you're doing the product event there in May, behind that network marketing event, why don't you share that event coming up in May with Deanna Letson over in North Carolina?
Yeah, Todd, that's going to be May the 8th and 9th, also a Friday evening, half-day Saturday event. Of course, those of you who know Deanna Latson, she's the Chief Product Officer of her company. Those who don't know her, not only is she, Todd, maybe one of the most knowledgeable people in the world as far as nutrition goes, she's also one of the best speakers that I've ever heard in my life. So when you put that together, and then we'll have leaders from all around the country as well, and we'll do some training on Friday on the business model and pay plan and so forth, but Saturday in particular will be all product based. That'll be in Thomasville, North Carolina, which is about an hour north of Charlotte, about 30 minutes south of Greensboro, May the 8th and 9th. Deanna Latson. We'll have a website with tickets and all that here shortly, Todd.
All right, and then Ken, you and Chris have got a big event, I think, next weekend in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area.
Not Ken, Aaron.
I'm sorry, Chris, you and Aaron. My bad. Team Rock Solid. Aaron, you and Chris have a big event, and Dr. Ginger and Dina and Jane or just a whole slew of leaders in Michigan. But tell us about y'all's event coming up next weekend.
Yeah, Todd, we got Chris coming up. It'll be a Saturday training 10 to 2. We're going to get the location not locked in. We've got more people than we thought, so we had to get a bigger venue. So we'll have that posted here, and we'll get that up on Mo Challenge at least by Monday.
And then Richard Tuggle has got it's going to be the end of July. Some of you went on last year's to the big lodge over at the John 3:16 Ministries in Arkansas. It's a really, really cool area. But tell us those dates, Richard, and that event coming up in Arkansas in late July.
Yeah, Todd, it's the date is July 24th, 25th, 26th. We went in the late fall and it was really cold. This year it's going to be nice. We've got swimming pool, a bit nice swimming pool. We've got a lake you can fish at, breakout sessions, through pavilions out on the campus. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome, Richard. We'll get all the details out on that. And then if you want to build an international business and you know people over in Europe, one of our guests this morning's the #1 power ranker in North America. He's making right at $1 million a year in our company. But Steve, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the Madrid event coming up and any other European events? And then Steve, why don't you share a little bit about what it took to get to #1 and kind of what you're experiencing out there in the worldwide growth?
Hey, what's up, Todd? You got me hanging out in a parking lot. Hey, this is kind of like the South. Hold on a second here. You wouldn't believe it, but California, there's a Bass Pro Shop here. Watch out. Watch out. All right. So anyways, yeah, I'm hanging out at my dad's house. This is San Jose, not my favorite place in the world, but so I'm hanging out, and I'm glad to be on here. I tried to go to Utah, but Todd, invited me while he was on the tarmac to go snowmobile. So I was like, give me a little more. Now I got some events to look forward to. I'm excited. You guys are rocking it, and I just want to say, like, the experiences you guys just had were epic. And I was watching the whole thing, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And going to the events, hearing what Chris just said, there's a lot of opportunities. I was in the same thing. When my first event, I was the dude in the back, like with my shorts on and a t-shirt. Everybody else had like suits. There's about 4,000 people. I stayed at my uncle's house, rented a car because I didn't have a lot of money to go eat myself. And that was a big deal. I went to the event and made a big difference in me going and taking after in the industry. That was 20 years ago. So what's happening now? Probably the best event I've ever been to was in Rome a couple months ago. Why was it? Well, it was just the right energy. It's the right type of people. And we had this party afterwards. When I say party, it wasn't like a drunk fest or something like that. It's just amazing, like event with fireworks. It was crazy. And people were just blown away. I mean, and so we're doing this again now in Spain. Okay. Now, this could be something that's May 15th to 17th in Madrid, and it's really the opening of Spain. They can do business there now, et cetera, et cetera. But what you'll see, like if you could go to that, I'm telling you, I know it's a stretch, some people, but if you wanted to go have a tax write-off, go to Europe, you could get a good flight to Madrid. I'm sure if you go buy it now, it's not that much money. And I mean, compared to like what you could do, I mean, you can get some decent tickets, and I think you would have a life-changing event by going to that and seeing the energy of that. So that's that's the main event. That's the main event they have going. They have something going on next, like in 2 weeks in Poland. But what's been going on internationally, I'll just cover real quick. I had never even been to Europe when I started RX. I mean, I'd never even been like at all. And I went 2013. I started going over there because somebody knew somebody, and then the next thing, this guy came in, and then it's kind of spread. But I'm telling you, it was like not a lot of volume, guys. It was like nothing. I was doing meetings, and you know, you travel all the way to Europe, and sure, you work on online, you work on this, but then you go meet people, and you know, I think the weekly volumes were like 10,000 volumes sold. You know what I mean? Think about the volumes. You're like, not a lot, right? People were literally delivering products, like not even, the company wouldn't even ship to the countries they were in. And now today, we've been able to attract people because of the opportunity. We've been able to attract the right types of leaders. And what I've found is it's not the company that gets into momentum, it's the people, the right leaders. And the right leaders like you guys have here in your group, it's the right people. And so we got James Lavelle came in, and boom, he made a big foothold, like, and he just made a big splash. And his team in the United Kingdom started going. But that was a person putting that stake in the ground and saying, I'm doing this. And they went crazy on it. The next thing, that led to a person recruiting someone that had been in the company, another company, and they has a bit of success, but now they're hitting over $1 million a year, right around there, and it's pretty residual. Her name is Vanessa, or Vani, and she went from nowhere. Vani used to work, she's in France. None of the products were in French. She worked without complaining for 2 years building the business, right? I saw her on a cruise. I think she was an officer. 2 years later, now she's like a chairperson 3 years later. And she makes that type of like base commissions. Her base commissions are pretty big. And then her matching bonus. And she's been the person, and she has her key leaders, and they've really kept doing events. They started doing more trainings. And my job with that is just basically building the relationship with them. I don't tell them how to do things, but like my thing is become friends. And that's what you want to do with your organization. As you get leaders, as you get people that are stepping up and doing things, you want to really connect with those people. And so that's what I've been doing over the years. They're really doing the majority of the work. Through all of this, we didn't even have any employees in Europe. Now we have Isham, we got VPs, we got all kinds of stuff. We got, you know, general managers, people, you know, call centers, all this kind of stuff. So a few months back, over almost a year ago in May, a group had been looking. They were in a previous company. I don't know if you want, I don't care what, Juice Plus, who cares, whatever. They were in that company. That company's been around for a long time. This one gentleman had been in that company 27 years. And the way they treated him, they basically said, hey, you guys are using Facebook. You're doing all these things to build your business. And they had done over $120 million in sales. That's bigger than most network marketing companies. $120 million just in Italy. And the way their company treated them, didn't appreciate them. They were really disappointed. I mean, the guy had been in the company 27 years. And they started looking for other companies. Other companies started offering them money. They didn't want to take it. I'm sure you've heard these types of things. They want to do that. And they sought out RX because of all the different things that go on with the company, from the quality of the products. And these guys did invest. They investigated RX for probably 7-8 months. They bought over $10,000 worth of products, trying them all out, checking them out, because they're a very organized group. And so they did all of that. They wanted to make sure all the regulations were in place to open the market. And they got started, and they've done probably over like $11 million in sales. But they joined RX because of the Bill of Rights, because of the products, the compensation plan, you know, all of the things that we know about. And then just like not having one category of products, having multiple brands, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's so many things, the reasons they joined, and they've been able to grow and build through Italy, now into Spain, Germany, and other countries. And so, and they're more than willing to help you. Like if you have people in those countries don't feel like they're going to steal your people. They're not going to, right? They're going to be like, okay, yeah, if they want to plug into our trainings, we can. So they're very sharp. You know, the guy's named Paulo Muichi, and they have two twins, Stefano and Andrea Oro, and they have a whole group of people. So what I've seen is this thing's exploding around the world. But what's really cool is you got to think about this. I was in another company that was, when I joined it, it was $100 million. I left it, it was like 700 million. Now it's over $1 billion. But they had leaders throughout the United States, like in different cities. And RX, there's so much opportunity with that right now. I mean, if you just built in the US, you know, it would be like, there's no big leader. I mean, I live in San Diego, but I built my business through the online and different things. There's no big leader in San Diego. There's no big leader, like a big team. There's no big team in Seattle. There's no big team in like San Antonio, Houston, whatever, right? There's so much opportunity. And the way RX is set up, this is a multiple billion-dollar type company. And so take advantage of that. If you're brand new to this, good. You're lucky you found the right type of company. You don't have to go through the little one-hit wonders that are like a juice or something like this, that are in one category. You have a chance to make a residual. And the better product lines you have, also with the compensation plan and the matching bonus, you know, my matching bonus like triples my base commissions now. But in the beginning, your matching bonus is going to be smaller. And so as you start to build, you're going to start to see that ability to have a residual income and the different ways we get paid. So there's so much going on. If you want to go and see something amazing, go to Madrid. Go ahead.
One quick question for you.
Yep.
Because sometimes when you talk about, you know, Europe and all the different places, you were a Army captain that got out of the Army and went to work at Dell Computer in Austin, Texas. And was it your interest into network marketing? Didn't you respond to an ad in a newspaper? Y'all remember that, right?
Okay, let's just be real. My freaking lieutenant friend. So I was a tank platoon leader, and then I did all the jobs. Like I was an armor officer, armor meaning tanks. That was the branch I was in the Army. And so I was in Korea, and then I got stationed in Fort Hood, Texas. So I became a Texan again. So I was stationed there. I got out when I was 30 because I was making PowerPoints for generals. And I was like, I don't want to do PowerPoints. That's not what I want to do. I coached small college football because I was trying to figure out what not to do to get a job. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read, he said, own your own business. So of course I just started a gift basket business. That makes a lot of sense. So I bought a little franchise and I started working. But previous to that, while I was in the Army, a couple of my friends, you know, I don't know, let's care. They were like ACN. They're trying to get me to join electricity. They're trying to get me to change my phone bills. Excel was a big company, which went out of business, obviously. But like all of these things, they're trying to get me to do, and they tricked me into the Amway meeting. And I was like, what are we? So I was like negative to it in the way that I was approached a little bit because I was kind of like tricked or blah, 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 blah. And then a few years later, when I was like, I don't really want to have a job, I read Multiple Streams of Income by Robert Allen, who's in RX. And in that book, he had like websites and you can go here. And I was like, no, I don't want to do the network marketing thing. In my mind, I said, I don't really want to do that. But then he said, hey, this is the fastest, best way to create another stream of income, better than stock market, better than real estate. And I thought those would be the ways, like legit ways, which is actually a joke. That way you see how the stock market really is. Like, I was like, those are the legit ways to make money. I don't know. But he said network marketing. I was like, okay, if he's saying to do it, I'm going to listen. And I started. So I listened to this phone call and he was talking about the baby boomers and people getting older and the health and wellness. And I said, this makes a lot of sense. I got fired up. So I bought into the company for only like $50, just basically like a boss. And that was November 2000. Then I had to get a job at Dell. Because I needed some kind of income coming in. I got a job at Dell. They gave me a bonus. I bought my pack to start. It was like a couple months later. I mean, I was totally over the time frames. They kind of reset my clock a little bit. And so I started February. I actually started February 2001. Zero income. Took me about 2 months to make $30. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what I was doing, but I was excited about it. And I got started and I was working, like you say, Todd, there's a couple of things. One, is it a timing in your life? Two, are you working with someone that's doing well? I was working with a guy that was making over $300,000 a year. And this is back in 2001. He had 6 kids, lived in Utah, and didn't have a job. And I was like, I don't know anybody like that. So I listened to what he had to say. I don't know that it was the most duplicatable way, but all I did is got him on 3-way calls and listened to everything he would say to my prospects. And then I memorized all that stuff, and then I got better at it. And all I did is I learned how to invite people to look at information. I just said, okay, I got to become friends with these people. I have a prospect. I want to learn about what's going on with them, find out what's happening, find a common ground, and say, I've got something you should look at, and not try to explain it all. And I got better and better at that. And I just did that consistently for like 2 years. I did it for 2 years. I made $6,000 my first year, but I thought that was cool because I was getting better towards the last part of the year. I started making like $2,500 a month while I had a job. The next year I made $55,000. This is while I have a full-time job working at Dell. The next year I made $130,000, and that's when I was like, man, I already made my whole Dell salary by June, and I quit in 2003. You know, the rest is history. And I had a multiple six-figure income, but we didn't have matching bonus like we have
Steve.
here. So,
Steve, we don't make income claims, so obviously there are people that join RX and not make any money if they don't work. But Steve is now. Steve sends me his checks to keep me motivated, but Steve is right at $20,000 a week. You know, a lot of people's goal is to get to $20,000 a month, but Steve, your paychecks are right at $20,000 a week. How much has life changed since that job at Dell for you? Time-wise, money-wise, decision-wise, brain-wise, travel-wise?
I mean, okay, first of all, when you start telling people you make that kind of money, they can't really relate to it necessarily, because I couldn't have back in the day. Now I make well, I almost make more in 2 weeks than I used to make in a year. So like, how has it changed? You get yourself a lot better options. Like, for instance, I'm up here. My brothers have jobs. They're teachers. They're high school football coaches. They need someone to look after my dad for the week. Well, who can do it? I can do it. Like, I could probably be up here all the time, but you know, I got my own kids and stuff. But like, it's the time and the ability to go and do what you want to do when you want to do it. The actual cheesy words and all the cliches that you hear, it's actually true. And I have met a lot of people who've made money doing different things. I haven't met too many people that have the lifestyle that a network marketing business will give you. Like, there's people that I know people that make a couple $1 million, but they're like, their life is like crazy. Like, they're always busy. They're always this, they're always that, and they're always in their business. And in this business, if you do it right, you get the key leaders in your lines and you help those people. Like, you don't have to be doing around, you know, you're going to have a much more time flexibility and time to do what you want. Doesn't mean you don't ever have to do anything. But yeah, you can basically not have to do a lot. I mean, yeah, it gets to that point, but you got to work your butt off before that. Okay. So, go ahead.
So to me, the greatest thing about network marketing, the money creates this, but it's the time freedom. So just to reiterate, your dad is sick, very sick, and you're able to just go stay with him. You're able to
yeah,
take care of him.
I'm changing bandages. I'm over here doing, like, I'm on my hands and knees, putting his pants on. Yeah, I'm doing all that stuff. But you know what? I mean, that's part of life. That's the way it goes, right? And you know, he's 85. He's not really bad, but he's just an older guy. You know, what are you going to do? And so I have the ability to do that. And you know, you have different lifestyle. I mean, just a lot of things will happen for you. But like, whatever your goal is right now, it's going to change later, right? But right now, stick to that thing. And it doesn't always have to be a positive goal. My biggest goal in the beginning was to not have to listen to that stupid boss I had. I mean, he was okay guy, but like, really, he would talk down to me, and I was like, oh my gosh. I just, like, instead of getting mad about it, I just said, you know what? I went and made more phone calls. And I said, every day I don't make a phone call, every day I don't talk to someone, is another day I got to stay at this stupid job. And so when I didn't want to be consistent, then I was like, no, you got to stay on this. It became my, like, a little bit of an obsession, right? It became an obsession. And you know, that's the thing that's going to drive you in the beginning, and then it's going to change, right? Now I'm like, okay, well, if I just do this, this, and this, and now it doesn't take as much effort to even like double your income. Like it doesn't take that much more. And I'm like, there's no reason I couldn't double my income from where it is, just a little bit more efforts. And so if you want to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, build this company and build it, and, you know, find your niche in there. You guys got a great program with Transform Packs and all the different things and new incentives that you guys have been working on. And so all of those things, take advantage of it. Most people have not heard about RX. They don't know what MOA is. They don't even know what Rejuvenex is. And I'm telling you, there's more. There's going to be, I know, I can't tell you about it, but I know complete other brands are coming your way. And that's not to overwhelm you. That's to actually create more opportunities for you in the future. And because once one thing goes, well, wouldn't you want to have a whole nother idea that could happen for you that you could build on as well? Yes, you do want that. You know, you don't want to be known for one category. And so this is, it's exciting. And, you know, sometimes sometimes we can get like where maybe we take a day off or take a couple of days off. I'm telling you right now, don't do that. Like, don't do it. One day off, you lose 5 days of momentum. That doesn't mean you can't take Sunday off or something like that. But like one day off of like your routine. So whatever it is, if you got to get 2 plays a day on the video, if you got to get 3 plays, 5 plays, I figured out eventually I need 10 people looking at something a day. In the beginning, that seems overwhelming. So get 2 people to look at some videos, get 2 people to review something. Come off this call and say, hey man, I was just on a call, this guy in California. I don't know, he used to be an Army captain. Find a reason to get people interested in what you have to offer. Don't explain everything. Let videos, like you guys have made all these awesome videos, let that stuff work. Let it work for you. Get better at inviting and then follow up with people. Don't be afraid to follow up. I mean, a lot of people don't follow up because they're scared of like what's going to happen at the back. Don't do that. Follow up, be consistent, and I think you're going to see that this group, a couple other groups are going to completely blow up North America. And you guys are on it. There's some people that are really asleep right now. I'm like, you guys are asleep. I don't know what you're doing. But like, you guys are on it, and you're creating the experiences. You're creating those memories. I mean, who's never going to forget, no matter what they do, 100-mile snowmobile trip? I mean, it's unbelievable, right? Like it's amazing. So these are the things that you do, and the ability to be able to even make that happen. It's all through this network marketing business. And some people just treat network marketing as a small thing because it doesn't cost a lot. I mean, what is a 250 point pack? How much is that? $300-400 bucks? You can make way more money than someone that buys a freaking McDonald's franchise and have a better lifestyle. So if you take it serious like that, then yeah, if you want to make over $20,000 a week, you could do it in this business and not have all the other garbage that holds you down and things like that. So we could go on and on about this, but basically it's pretty crazy, man, what you can do in network marketing. So
thank you, Steve, for waking up at 6:30 Pacific Coast time to join us this morning. Again, on late notice. I'm a poor planner.
I'm like, he goes, you want to go to our webinar tomorrow? I was like, okay. Next thing I'm like, my name's on it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to definitely be there. Anyway, no, I love it. You know, I love it. And I can't wait to go to some events. I just need, you know, what you guys need to do is keep promoting the events you're talking about. Keep promoting those. If you want to see an example of what's going on in Europe, you can go to the RX Corporate Europe, like, you know, like just like their Facebook group, RX Corporate Europe, not Facebook group, but Facebook page. And they have the video on there about Madrid, and you can figure all that out. I would say if you're one of the top leaders here, you know, and you can afford to go see it, man. Go see it. Go meet the people, the videos and things that you could make out of all of that. Madrid and those places like that are first, you know, they've got great transportation. It's not hard to move around. I took my kids to Barcelona, which is a kind of a crazier place, but it's pretty good. But Madrid is, like, again, it'd be life-changing. You know, you can go over there for a week, do a tax write-off, see other places, enjoy the culture. If you don't speak Spanish, who cares? They don't, like, you can figure it out. Like, a lot of people speak English. So I would get out there. Can't wait to see you guys at the next event. Great job, everybody.
Thanks, Steve. Well, Aaron and Ken and Chris, we'll turn the rest of the call over to you three. Kind of share your leadership experience in Utah, and then why don't you guys go ahead and call on people you see on the call that were on your teams there, and we'll kind of hear what some of those new eyes saw on the leadership event, from the corporate office visit to meeting the owners to the 100-mile snowmobile trip. And Aaron or Ken, y'all take it away.
Go ahead, Ken.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Todd, for holding the call today. And thanks for joining us, Steve. And Todd, as I was thinking about this coming up, I think two things that these kind of trips do for people. Number one, it raises your belief level. And when you believe that you could, in the company, and you believe in yourself doing this, because you meet other ordinary people like myself and you and Chris and Aaron, and people start to realize, well, Lord, if they can do it, if Steve Swartz can do it, so can I. And that belief level is just important. And then secondly, it gives you confidence when you go back to share this business model or these products, and you're able to tell people, hey, I've been to the president's house, I've met the CEO, I've toured the manufacturing facilities. That confidence and that excitement, Aaron, it comes out when you're sharing it with people. And I just think that's so important to help these people when they go back. Don't you agree with that, Aaron?
Absolutely. Yep, for sure, Ken.
And there's, as Chris Doyle has said, there's so many people on our screen, it's hard to keep up with everybody out there, but I know some of the people who are on here that was out there. David Doherty from down in South Alabama, and Amy, are you there, David?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Gotcha. Why don't you share a little bit about your experience and what that's meant for you?
Yeah, so, you get to see behind the scenes of how everything works, and you get to meet the owners of this company and realize there's such welcoming, good people that you typically don't get to see in corporate America. How many times I'm 50 years old roughly, and, been in many companies throughout my careers. This is the only time that, the president of the company has cooked me breakfast at his house. That's just, mind boggling. But it gives you a belief, into what you're doing. It makes you want to work with these people, and it generates excitement that, like, I love what Todd said in one of his videos, a dog doesn't chase a parked car. So, the excitement that's generated from this event is just, you can't put words to it, because it puts things in motion and really gives you the belief to build and grow your team.
Absolutely, Dave. And, we've been talking about lifestyles and all that, and Steve Swartz was talking about, he knows people makes $2 million a year. Folks, it's not so much about how much money you make, it's the type of money. And since it's residual in nature, that's what leads to the financial, not only the financial freedom, but the time freedom, and be able to control your time. That is so valuable. I know David is a physical therapist down in South Alabama, and the healthcare industry has been crazy the last few years. And we're excited to have you on the team, David. I know you're going to you're already building a big team. And in fact, you're just outside the top 25 of Power Rankers. Congratulations, just a little bit more growth, and you're going to hit that top 25 as well. Aaron, I'll turn it back over to you to interview somebody.
Sure. What's interesting is look where we're all at. Like today, the guy that works for me, he's laid up because of surgeries, and my wife's in Omaha, and, take care of my parents. But you guys, you can do this business from anywhere. Don't use excuses. But Dina Brown, though, I know that, last minute kind of you made a choice, and you had a new teammate that's been in the business, I think, less than 3 weeks, that decided to go to Utah. Dina, if you're there, I don't know if Matt's on or not, but if you could, they're both together. There you go. Why don't you guys just talk about your experience and what that trip meant to you?
Hey guys, I'm gonna let Matt go. Matt, you go.
Just a fantastic trip, guys. I can't even tell you. I decided, I think within 3 days of joining, that for me it was kind of the only route to go on this trip and get to meet these amazing people that started this company and began the process of building something that hadn't been built before. And just hearing those stories about this isn't your everyday network marketing company. This is a dynamic company created around the business owners. And for me, that was just kind of solidified what I thought at the beginning was, this is something worth joining and something worth putting my life energy into as much as I have to give. And I am thrilled. I went on the trip. It was an amazing trip. And what David said was just amazing, just to get up in the morning and have the president of the company make you breakfast and talk about his day in his home is just a remarkable experience. And then to see that same man put the energy and time into digging people out of the snow all day long for 9 hours was just a great day and a great experience, and something I'll never forget. And I remember one thing about this that Dean and I have talked about a number of times, and that was, this is a business and this is a hard work, and it's going to be hard work. But to sit back after that trip and say that, I heard somebody say it was a bucket list item. And I don't know that a 9-hour snowmobile trip was a bucket list item for me, but I'll never forget it. And it was one of the top 5 coolest things I've ever done. So if you get a chance to be on the next trip, to be in Destin, to be in North Carolina or Madrid, wherever that may be, make it happen. You got to do what it takes. I talked to somebody yesterday, kind of on a last minute note, that said, you know, I can't afford I want to lose weight, but I can't afford what you're selling. And I basically just said, well, apparently you don't want to lose weight, because there's always something in the way. There will always be an obstacle if you let it be an obstacle. So I'm so excited that I went on the trip. It was amazing. And I'm so excited that Dina brought me onto the team.
It was a great trip. I think Dina got cut out of the trees by that same owner. I believe he had Dina. So, I mean, we all had our little mishaps. I mean, nobody talked about Dina's wreck. They always talked about Chris's wreck.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes the chainsaw comes in handy. That's all I'm going to say.
So, and I agree with you. What you just said, Matt, is that it was a trip I'll never forget. And I'll be honest with you. Everybody said, you're going to go again. I can't wait to go again. I am going to try to get a little more experience on I think I'm going to ride a little slower before I hit the gas too hard. So that part I'm going to say I'm excited. So, Aaron, you got anybody else want to call on? I got a couple of folks from Arkansas as well.
No, go ahead, Chris.
You know, I thought of something that was just said. Before I go to a couple of people from Arkansas, I want to make a comment. Someone was talking about time freedom, and it talks about how much a person makes. And Steve said somebody makes $2 million a year. My nephew is an attorney. He's one of the most high-profile attorneys in the state of Tennessee. He's the governor's attorney. He makes over $650 an hour for his services. Think about that as an attorney. You know what he says to me? Now, funny, because this was a Mark Wilson statement. He told me how lucky I was. I thought that was interesting. He went to school for 9 years, and he tells me I'm lucky because I got into the business world. He said, you got things figured out. He said, you've always been the guy in our family that had it figured out. And there's never really about luck here, guys. I mean, the earlier I got up and the later I worked, the luckier I got. In network marketing, that's all it's about. Early work, late time. And Steve, and I'm glad he's off because I'm going to pick on him. I met Steve 7 years ago, and I just shook my head. I'm thinking, I don't mean that in any rude way, because I did the same thing with Todd Rowland years ago, because I felt like I was this business guy. And what I learned was it's a level playing field here. And there's people from all over. You've heard so many stories. I don't know if Richard Hawkins is still with us, but Richard Hawkins is from Cave City, Arkansas. Now, y'all don't know where Cave City is, but I can promise you, they don't have a traffic light. And if you don't know you're in Cave City, you better be watching because you'll miss it. The biggest thing they have is called a watermelon festival. Think about that. That's the biggest thing in the town, and they do have great watermelons. I don't want to pick on them. Are you still with us, Richard Hawkins? He may have had to get off. He's been in the insurance business for years, but he as well has had major experiences. So I'm going to go to somebody else. I think he jumped off, and I know he was with us for a few minutes. So Mark Thomas, who's been experienced in the network marketing. Are you still with us, Mark?
I am.
Mark has had some experience in network marketing, and I'm going to tell you something. He is a wild man on a snowmobile, because I was determined he wasn't going to pass me multiple times. I didn't tell you that while I was out there, but you may have been the cause of my accident because you got so reckless. Because I was just decided if that guy can do this and he didn't know nothing about snowmobiles, then I can go faster. And that's where I ended up, I think, smacking the tree. It was right after you passed me, because I was determined to catch you, and I just didn't tell you that. So, Mark, why don't you tell us, I know you went on last minute too. You're a guy that, just like Matt, joined the company and made a decision. I told you, invited you to come to Utah, and you didn't have any hesitation. You went straight out there. Why don't you tell us what you experienced?
Well, my experience was I heard you crash behind me. Yeah, you hit that hard, and I'm just so thankful you was okay. Guys, my daughters and my son says it best. Our life as a child was an unbelievable life, and it was all because of the network marketing industry. They say they lived a dream life as a child, and it's because of this industry is what provided us that ability to never miss not one basketball game, not one dance competition, not one event of our kids we have ever missed. And Steve's story was just like everybody's story. I didn't know anything about this business when I first joined, but it provided that residual income that was just unbelievable. So my experience snowmobiling was phenomenal, but I didn't go for the snowmobiling. I went to see the owners and to build relationships with like people around the world that was there, like Ken Bailey, Deanna, Jane, and just on and on and on of the people that was there. What I got to say about this is that, yes, I do it by the fives. I contact 5 people a day. I show the video 5 times a day. And my goal is to bring on 5 people a week, and then to help those 5 get their 4 in the first 30 days. And so just follow the system. Don't miss an event. Just go have fun in life, because life is supposed to be fun. And I'm a Christian, and I do believe that that God is the one that invented baseball, because he wanted really to have fun in life. Because in Genesis, he starts out as the big inning, not the big inning, but the big inning, like baseball has a big inning. And so make this your big inning of your life. So back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. And she doesn't know I'm going to call on her, but I see Susan Glasgow sitting there, so I can smile if you hear me, Susan. Okay. I want to make a point. This is going to be more than just an experience. This is going to be a testimonial as well, because I want you to know that Susan went on vacation last July to Noah's Ark. So she planned the vacation to Noah's Ark in Kentucky. And now she went on vacation, and my goodness, I don't know what you call this place, up on top of this mountain. And guys, when Chris got worn out and went back after my crash, after my first 75 miles, Susan and her husband Terry went on to the top of the peak. And Susan, I just want you to tell just a little bit about your experience there, as well as what the product has done, because I think it's kind of double whammy here, because you joined the company because of what your experiences were, but you've also, I just think we don't heal, treat, or diagnose anything, but Susan's had an amazing transformation over the past 6 months.
Well, in June, we went to the Ark, and I had to be drugged to get there and in a wheelchair because I couldn't walk while we were there, and then drugged to get back. And then we've just gone to Utah, and when everybody at halfway point thought we were going to bail, we showed them how tenacious we were and that we were going to finish our bucket list, and we fell off 7 times, and that's biblical, y'all. But we got back up, and that's what you have to do in this industry. You'll get a lot of no's, and you just have to go on. You have to pick yourself back up and go again. And I'm just praise God that these products were put in my life so that I could get a life back, and that we were able to, we're one of the ones that were kind of sketchy financially, whether we should go or not. And we just felt like this is what builds us up. This is what makes the momentum inside of us start again. And to see these products that saved me, I really feel like they've saved me, be made, and the quality, and how they make them, and they're so precise, and everything that we learned, staying at the president's house, and like they said with the breakfast, but hey, I got the president's phone number and his wife's phone number, and she's the one that came, and they're just down to earth people, and we met, the relationships we made, oh my gosh. And those people we met, even though they're new friends, they're supportive of us. We could call them for any kind of a call afterwards for a specific thing. Everybody's just there for everybody, and this is a team, a true team.
It really is, Susan. And we were surprised that you went to the top. And after I bailed, I don't think it was really considered the halfway point. I think we were a little further than halfway. There was some that after Judy crashed was around that point early on. But guys, we had such a great experience from a camaraderie and become family. And we learned. I know you made a lot of friends there. But you really were the story for a lot of us, because everybody knew that last July that we talked about the fact that you've been on vacation in a wheelchair and you were on top of a snowmobile on 10,000 feet, and y'all made it to the top.
Yeah.
So I was so impressed, and I know that you're going to make it to the top of RX as well.
Here's the thing, though. My husband was the one pushing me in the wheelchair in June, and he was the one driving that snowmobile. He's the one out there working this business. So I got to give him a lot of credit, because I didn't realize that riding double was so much harder than riding single. I didn't realize I was putting that additional burden on him. So, just working together, you can get it done.
That's exactly right. So Aaron Decker, I'm going to come back to you. I want you to close us out, because
Chris, this is Ken. Can I bring in one more person just real quick? And really, it's because for training purposes here, I know everybody on the call today, there's times you wonder, I don't know if I know anybody who will do this business. Well, there's a lady on here, Natalie Broussard from down in Alabama. I'm going to call on you, Natalie. I see you, so be thinking about what you want to say. But anyway, David Doherty, who you heard from earlier, Chris, Natalie's in his business, but I met Natalie out there, and I said, Natalie, how did you know David? She said, I didn't. I said, what? Well, how'd you? So, Natalie, if you would share the story about how she ended up coming into the business and didn't even know David and Amy, and then ends up going to Alabama because they were sharing it with other people. So the point I want to make here, Chris, is everybody on this call, I don't care who it is, I promise you, you may not know that person who's going to do it big time. You probably do. But even if you think you don't, I promise you, you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's looking and praying for something like this. So just keep sharing it. So Natalie, would you give your experience real quick?
Okay, yeah, sure. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, I didn't really know David at all, actually. I just was, at a point in my life where I needed a change, and something needed to happen because I was going downhill pretty fast with my health and everything. But anyway, make a long story short, someone at my school put me in touch with him through Facebook, and I just kind of avoided it for a while, and he friended me, and then I said, okay, I'll friend him back. And I just kept watching his story and Amy's story, and kept putting off going to a meeting. And then finally I was sitting on the couch, and I just said, okay, I don't have anything to lose. So I just got up and went to my first meeting, not knowing anybody. And so that's where it started. I listened to Todd speak and Jerry speak and Kim, and those testimonies were pretty powerful. And that's pretty much all it took, was to see these people are real. And these products, do what they say. And I'm just really thankful, because these products have really changed my life. I just thank God put the right people in my life at the right time. So, and then I was blessed to be invited on the trip. So I hope that answered your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. I just want people to see, Chris, that if you'll be persistent and consistent, as David and Amy were, people will come into your business that you don't even know and go out and make a difference. So it's so important to keep sharing with you.
I'm gonna tell on Natalie, because Natalie was, and Natalie and I got close to the lodge at the same time, and we were at the lodge on our trip back, and she told me not to tell anybody, but then she told a few people. So she was bragging how she had not flipped and had not turned her snowmobile over the whole trip. And I had been on my back and through a tree, and I was bleeding still. And she put her fist over to knuckle butt me on my snowmobile, which I did. At the same time, her other hand hit her throttle, which meant the snowmobile went about 50 feet straight ahead. She turned her 360 in the air and face planted directly into the snow. I mean, I thought it killed her. I thought she was going to be with it. I mean, I jumped off my snowmobile, but she was already getting up. And I thought it was interesting that you had your wreck right at the end. So anyway, it was a great trip. We've made a lot of great friends. I'm going to come back to you, Aaron, if you're still with us, because I want you to close this out, because I know you have a lot of great people on, and we're going to be there next Saturday. I want us to really have a big event there in Michigan.
Well, Chris, here's the interesting thing. That snowmobile trip is a great example of how network marketing works. You watch some of the best snowmobilers, some of the people that had the most experience, and they would go and they would stop, but they were the ones that were helping all the rest of us dig out. They were the ones that were always making sure that we were okay. They were the ones that were serving us. But the other thing that's really powerful, and whether it's Natalie or Dave and Amy, or I mean, just a host, Mark, at every twist, at every turn, no matter what happened, whether you knew somebody or not, you were there for them. And everybody was always reaching down and giving somebody a hand up, whether they knew them or not. And by the end of the trip, we all were together. We all were a solid team, and there was nobody left behind. You see, even the leaders, even the guides, they would go a little ways and they would stop, and then they would count and make sure everybody's here. You see, guys, network marketing works the same way, except for one difference. You see, you had to want to get there to keep up with the group. They were always there to help you. But if you would have just said, you know what, I'm going to lay here in the snow, I'm going to quit, I can't do it anymore, you know, they probably would have picked you up and dragged you back, but they wouldn't have dragged you to the finish line. You guys, we're all together. We have an amazing opportunity. We all have the same products. We all have the same comp plan, the same leadership, all the same perks, benefits. We can all make it. You've got some of the best leaders on the planet. Todd Rowland is one of the best network marketers that there's ever been, as well as many people on this call and in this company. Even Steve Swartz, like, they'll all reach down and help you, but you've got to want it. You've got to do something. Natalie had to get back up and get on that snowmobile and do it, right? Like, Chris had to get, or Dina had to get cut out of the trees with a chainsaw and get back and go do it. So they had to have that desire. But as long as you have that desire, Chris, and that stands for anybody that's listening to this or anybody that ever will, we've got the right leadership, both in the field and from a corporate standpoint, that will allow all of us to cross that finish line.
Absolutely. Aaron, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for being on. We could talk about that for on and on. I mean, as you just said, Aaron, and David was the first person to me when I had my accident that was so severe. And I barely know David, but he was there checking me out because of his medical background, was making sure I was okay. And people were, it's not always the leader that, I was certainly not a leader on the snowmobile, maybe in this industry, but guys, don't take this for granted. You have an opportunity right now. And I mean this with all my sincerity. Those that know me know it's just the time is right. And the next 2 years is going to change a lot of people's lives. And there's going to be a lot of people on this call, unfortunately, today that say, I wished I had. And the other side is there's going to be a lot of people that say, I'm glad I did. And that's really the difference in all of us. So, guys, thank you so much. Next Saturday, Todd will probably be hosting this Zoom because I will be with Aaron totally next Saturday. It's going to be a great one. We've got a lot of things on the chat. People just thanking people for being on. I haven't pulled open the chat room, but I'm just trying to keep up with everybody today. So, guys, have a great day, and we appreciate you being on, and we look forward to you. And we'll be on next week. I just don't know who'll be the host.